Hi, it's Shine. Thank you for watching Criminal Minds, Season 16, Episode 2, Sicarius. I am very excited for another stressful episode of this show. A reminder that you can find the unedited version of this reaction on my Patreon 2 weeks in advance. The edited version 1 week in advance, and let's go. Oh god. Gotta film it.
What's going on?
Oh my god.
You have a choice to make.
20 more seconds, team. Let's say hello to Soldier
Very glad that ended. I was actually beginning to feel ill.
Fantastic.
She's living her best life.
You're talking about us.
Yeah. Kinda.
I hate that they made this relationship weird.
Give me a chance.
I wasn't a fan of the JJ always being in love with Reed thing.
I will.
They were best friends, nothing more.
I swear.
Because it made it seem like she settled for her husband rather than like they actually wasn't how it was originally done.
Known as cuckolding, wives cheat on their husbands with bulls. Men like this.
Okay.
No money trades hands. It's all legal and consensual.
The unsub could have been burned
So,
by that. Now he's
they
taking
weren't
his
great
revenge.
people, did not
There's
deserve to be
another reason
murdered.
why we have to take
We profiled that Rory had a partner. Is this our shipping container guy?
I checked with Tara. None of the bodies in the shipping container have severed.
Is shipping container guy working with
Yes,
multiple
very
unsubs?
specific
And there's another theory we have to consider. Who's ever behind the shipping
Mhm.
container doesn't have one partner. He has two.
He may have many.
So
He might be fostering a whole.
operating procedure. We
investigate it fully.
and I get it. I love it. I love the enthusiasm. But Brass is not gonna like this.
Body
Well,
count's already gone up to 24. Not
what are you burning? Oh, he's got another shipping container. How many? He's got loads of different cans in that trunk. The boot. I'm not American. In the boot. There's a whole, like, social media for serial killers. I don't feel well with this particular murder thing. Yep, he's a mastermind. Like, there's more cans of gas, petrol in there. How many burial sites does this man have? I don't do well with like medical stuff, like hearing details of what diseases do to the body and things like that. Something about the way that unsub evil man was murdering just triggered my wanting to pass out senses.
Bring them both in. The councilman will
My
stone
back
us,
feels
but we
like
might be
ting,
able to
like
get something
oh.
It'd be nice if we could get
I'm
some
fine.
background intel on them.
Miss Penelope. But we're gonna have to solve this case without them.
Okay,
I
pals, you're all
just
on
realised I
these
dreamt.
little
Oh,
boxes are making
fools.
my-
Just realised I dreamt last night that Penelope came back to work at BAU and she like walked in and they were all like, "Oh my god, are you coming back?" And obviously that has not happened. So I dreamt about Criminal Minds last night.
my brain wobbly. Who is this?
She being hacked? Is it the unsub?
It will destroy
Is that the unsub communicating with her? Because he knows about the different, or it's someone else that's in their private group chat that they do their murdering chatting in.
at home waiting.
Because it was all like encrypted and everything, so it suggests the unsub is also very tech savvy, like Penelope, or at least knows someone who is. So this is either like that unsub or somebody else.
No, it was my idea.
I
I didn't
mean,
think she would like it.
if everyone's a consenting adult,
I do.
good for
Because
them.
when he comes home,
Is it of you and Steve?
no,
The third
it
victim.
was from him, the man you're looking for. I'm sorry, I know we should have come forward sooner.
They should have fucking come forward sooner.
Sorry, Emily. Can't win against the bean counters.
Ugh.
Break with the container.
I wish I could. We have covered every corner, swabbed every corpse.
He's
Check that
careful.
foot
I mean, this
locker.
is like the
Nothing.
mastermind serial
Hard to
killer.
Kiss my ass.
Right here.
The container.
That's another kill kit.
Yeah,
what a pandemic would do to them. They couldn't move, they couldn't hunt. But that
It's such an interesting concept.
They would need some sort of an outlet.
Why would he be content with just 2?
Yep.
He isn't with the killings. So these aren't just connected cases. This is a network.
Mm-hmm. This is chilling and awful.
You and her, you're so a thing.
I did get vibes.
Oh, God, is it that obvious?
I mean, the temperature in the room went up like 10 degrees. When
I
you
did get vibes.
How long?
Oh, man, it is my first time being this happy.
Oh, that's good.
That is so
Ah,
good.
could use some happiness around here.
Mm-hmm.
Besides,
When?
Soon.
They're not going to be that easy to control.
Cameras, motion sensor lights. It's all the same. Nothing beats a dog.
Not Moose. He's a big old goofball.
Oh, don't tell him that.
You don't say.
You tell him he's the fiercest dog around, and he will bite anyone that so much as strays from the pavement.
What if?
You tell people that dog bites the postman every day.
Penelope?
I need to see you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is.
Somebody is feeding you clues. We need you to get to the bottom of this.
You do, but you can't force her either.
Trauma has to be offloaded. It has to be transformed, or your body will destroy you. And
That's what's happening to you.
Dave, I'm gonna take your silence as consent.
He needs a hug, I think. I hope he takes some of what she said to heart about
I really am happy for you.
internalizing the trauma,
More
and
than that, I'm
you
jealous.
need outlets.
I want what you have.
you gotta go catch a bad guy.
I don't like it though, because the bad guy is contacting Penelope, or at least someone in his network is. I think it's probably the uber bad, but it could be someone else in the network that maybe doesn't like that someone else is trying to control people. I don't know, but I don't like it because I feel like she's going to get dragged in whether she wants to or not. It's going for one of the women now, not the men. One of the women that cuckolds.
It took a woman.
Robert Harris.
Robert was what he said on the phone, right? Are you disobeying me, Robert, or whatever?
Riley?
Helper Cat 220.
Yes?
Penelope!
Cryptid.
Oh my god, it's you.
Don't you understand? You're the only one who could help. And now, because you didn't, people are gonna die.
Well, she's being dragged in. So it's not Big Bad Unsub Man. It's not Fuckhead, as Rossi called him.
I don't know what this is.
It's someone else that is aware of the network, doesn't like it, maybe doesn't like that someone else is controlling unsubs. He is definitely acting sooner than the guy wanted him to. I mean, the husbands are all consenting to this thing, and I don't even think the men were necessarily bad people. Like I did at the beginning when I thought they were cheating. Oh, she didn't ever want to come back here. In my dream, it was her choice to come back, not being forced to by a creep.
Do you need my login or password?
Is it all the places his containers are? So they wanted them to get evidence of what he was up to before he destroyed them all. So he's getting ready to destroy all his places. So it's someone trying to expose the network of serial killers, but not outright exposing them, doing it all cryptically.
All units, be advised. Be on the lookout for Robert Harris, wanted in association with multiple murders and the abduction of Michelle Tucker.
Can't rely on other people, they're all sloppy. And it was this kill that gave him away. Okay. This attempt.
Whatever I
hopefully.
did, I'm sorry.
These distractions when you're just trying to do a good murder.
I do. You got sloppy, and now the police are on their way to you. And you know what that means.
Oof.
I can't.
Oh my god, of course, because he said he didn't profile that the guy was suicidal. And although the last guy did say to her that he was considering going everything up until the girl was nice to him on the internet, is it that if the police come for you, you have to kill yourself so you don't give up the wider network? Is that why the guy killed himself but they hadn't profiled it? And he is in the system because he knew when that arrest warrant went out. Yep, it's all part of the deal if the police are coming for you.
Fell to suicidal. Whoever Sicarius is.
It's very well done because we did hear Gilchrist say something that suggested he was at least vaguely suicidal, but not
Have something on these guys.
actionably.
Well, that's the devil's bargain.
Oh, you should have said your dog. I mean, I think he was gonna attack you anyway. I'm sorry.
You did what you always do. You helped.
I love this team. How much they love each other. You are so loved and supported.
I'm gonna be checking out. Thanks.
Is he going home? How are the bosses going to be if they hire her again? Or does she have to do it, like, voluntarily? He is an organized bitch. Yep. Doesn't live alone.
You're home.
I'm good. I got enough gas in the tank to make breakfast for the girls. I don't like that.
He's a father.
That would be a really big help. Best husband ever.
Well, let's hope he stays that way for your sake, because if he decides to turn on his family, that's very bad.
We could always do date morning.
Good. I'm glad they're working through things. And staying together and being together.
Morning.
Morning. Glad
He
you're
looks
back.
like Rossi
Another
again. He's
Hello.
dressed like Rossi again.
How are we doing? Hey.
Welcome to the family.
Close the door. Something about a shipping container.
Son of a bitch. He's been setting us
Mhm.
up this whole time.
What
Yeah.
happens with us?
Lady McShadisons. I mean, I'd like to think there aren't as many serial killers as they make out in this show, but
Is it over?
We have a serial killing network that is domestic terrorism. If we catch them, if we shut down the network, if we stop Sicarius.
We justify what we do. Not even Bailey can touch us. But we have a secret weapon.
it's more like my dream. It's not what my dream was like at all, but seemingly happy to be back. Okay, so I love Criminal Minds. I just love the way these stories are woven. My favorite part is, and has always been, the team and their dynamic and how much they care about each other and love each other, and they truly are a little family, and I love them dearly. I am glad Penelope is back, even though a part of me is sad for her because she truly had found peace and had found happiness away from all of it. Like, I think everything she had to say about the trauma you carry with you and collecting it more every day is so true, and everybody's lives, we all need to have a healthy way of dealing with it, because this is going to be a slight tangent, but if you think about 100, 200 years ago and all throughout the rest of time, ordinary people did not know what was going on in the world around them. Like, you might hear an account of, oh, did you hear a few months ago a ship sank, or did you hear, like, you would hear about things, big events, I'm sure, perhaps not in small villages, but nowadays so much horror and violence and just things that make me cry on a regular basis are straight there. They're on our computer screens, on our phones, on our TVs, and I don't believe I can't just look away from it. I can't just say, well, I it's not like I have to share the post, like it, you know, make sure people awareness is being done and people are being held to account. But it's obviously very, very hard to deal with, and we all need to learn ways to cope with that trauma that we're getting on an everyday basis. And obviously for these characters, that is times 1,000, because they are dealing with serial killers and their victims and everything day in, day out. So I respect Penelope for finding a healthy way of doing things. What she really needs to do, because I do think her job matters to her, because she makes a difference and she helps people and she loves working with the people she does. What they all need to do is find a healthy balance. And with this kind of job, with the hours it demands, I don't know how they're going to do that, but you need to find a way where you're able to keep a little semblance of yourself safe from all of the violence and horror you see. And so I particularly loved that moment where she was talking to Rossi and saying, like, if you tried therapy, because when I went to therapy and I, hearing about all this trauma that I've been carrying around and like adding to every day, and we need to learn how to deal with that and to put it aside and to find healthy ways to process it and everything. And I do think it was just such a well written and acted scene, because she wasn't like screaming at him like, go to therapy, you need therapy, sir, but she was trying to genuinely say, like, well, something that I learned in therapy that has helped me is this. And I really think if you can take a small little bit of that advice and put it in your own life, you will be healthier and you will be able to keep going forward. It can be so hard, because sometimes you look at people in your life who are suffering and you can think, if you just went to therapy and engaged with a therapist, my God, this would be like, you would have such a better, easier time. Not a better time necessarily for going through, but you'd have an easier time healing. Things would be so much better for you. But that person, for whatever reason, doesn't want to, doesn't feel able to, isn't for them. It can be really hard to do. So I love the way Penelope was able to kind of work some of what she had learned to help Rossi, and I think it did. I think in some ways as well, how Rossi seeing Penelope face her own fear, go back to the scary place, like the trauma place that she didn't necessarily want to go back to for the greater good, seeing her kind of put on a brave face and deal with it, helped him realize that he was drowning. And it's not like now, boom, he's healed, he's not grieving anymore, but he's taken that first step. He has pulled himself one rung up on the ladder. He has gone home. He is dressing more like he used to dress. He is beginning that process of pulling himself out of the absolute deep pits of despair. And I really, really loved that. I'm never a fan particularly of plot lines where it's like, oh, someone is trying to take down the team. Like, all shows like this have it at some point or another. I'm sure Criminal Minds has had it in the past as well. However, I will say with this one, I feel like it's a very realistic plotline. Like, so when I say I don't like it, I'm not like bad plotline. It's more like I don't enjoy that thing of like, oh, they've got to prove their worth. And I'm like, look at the freaking cases they've solved over the years. They've proved their worth. And like, to an extent, I'd like to think Criminal Minds exaggerates the number of active serial killers there are in the US. I genuinely do not know. Like, we don't hear about, I don't think, as many as they have in the show. That doesn't mean they don't exist. And also, I mean, we've seen in other FBI-esque shows, they will sometimes consult with someone from the BAU, or they say, oh, the BAU have got back to us and they think this. Like, in the other FBI shows I watch, it's like the BAU doesn't, it obviously focuses on serial killers, but that it has, like, if they're dealing with, like, oh, we're trying to work out who's behind XYZ, the BAU will look at the facts and send in a profile. So it's kind of like a way of keeping them more relevant, I guess, is that they work within the rest of the FBI as well as having their own focuses. And then that could be a way for this team to deal with it as well. If you're worrying about domestic terrorism, well, if someone needs a profile done of a domestic terrorist, go ask the BAU. They'll have one of their agents, a couple of them, sit down, look it through, give you a profile, and then they'll get back to doing what they're doing. But I hate this kind of little bureaucratic person who has no actual experience, no actual knowledge of what he's doing and what he's messing with, but he's just trying to make himself look good, and he's just trying to rise through power, and he's such a realistic character, because people like that exist, especially men like that exist, but women like that exist as well. And it's just one of those plot lines that it's not fun to watch. And like, obviously Criminal Minds isn't a show that is fun to watch, but like, it's kind of like, I'm already dealing with trauma and serial killers. I don't need to be dealing with little bitches like that. But I am hopeful, looking forward to the team proving their worth. And I was thinking actually during this episode that I truly do not know whether, because obviously this is a different format to the original Criminal Minds was case of the week. There would be overarching plot lines at times, but it was more or less case of the week. And obviously this is very much overarching plotline that happens to have, so far at least, a different serial killer each week, but it's the fuckhead Sicarius is the big bad, and we're dealing with that kind of, it's a very different structure in that sense. So I don't know, and I don't want to know, whether they catch him in the season finale or whether they are still looking for him in the next season, whether it's kind of going to be a really continuous story, or whether next series, because there is going to be a season 17. I was going to say season 2, but it's a season 17. They're dealing with a different drama, and I think it really could go either way. They could even catch this guy, but somebody else could take over the network, or the network could crop up again. Like, I feel like this kind of thing is insidious, and once it's been done once, it can be done again. And even if in future it's not done with someone trying to lead a flock of serial killers, it's just people offering advice. Like, the internet will definitely have things like that. So then realizing just how much of a network it is, that it isn't just one serial killer who's made a couple of little people he's helping. He is truly operating over a huge network. Now, what that does mean is if they're able to capture him and capture any of his devices, they could potentially catch an infinite number of serial killers, potential serial killers, budding serial killers, one-off murderers who kind of want to take it serial. I don't know, like all of those people he was getting messages from, if they were able to get into that network through the head dude, they could catch so many people. It would be so wonderful. But we are a long way away from that. So I am interested in whether or not, like, the next episode we'll see another one of his mentees going around serial killing and they'll be dealing with that while he is lurking in the shadows. I definitely think he is somebody who, I mean, he's murdering again, we know that. He's also trying to go around, I presume, and destroy his shipping containers to get rid of any evidence so they can't track him, is what I think he was doing in this episode. He also has a family, which isn't like the most shocking thing in the world because awful people like this often have families. It's how they blend in and they fit in the world. But oh, I feel so sorry for that woman and her kids. And I mean, I really hope at no point he ever decides he has to like take out his own family to do something. But regardless, when they ultimately find out the truth, it's not going to be great. But also that's reminded that Prodigal Son, the show, should have got more seasons. It was so fucking good. I'm off topic, but like if you haven't already, watch the first 2 seasons of Prodigal Son, because if you like this show, you will love Prodigal Son. But it is just such an interesting character, and I definitely think part of why he'll be activating his mentees around the place is because if there is someone who is actively serial killing, like doing a lot of high profile serial killings, they're going to have to focus on that person and not on him, because so I think if ever he feels them drawing close, he'll be like, hey, you, go kill, so that they have to go and deviate. It's going to be very interesting to see how it all goes. But this team coming together, all sitting around that table together, and I know it wasn't like the full team. Obviously, some people left, and then other people are dealing with in other shows, doing other things. But I am just seeing them all together and ready to face this war on 2 fronts. I'm ready for it. So yeah, fantastic episode. Reminder that you can find the unedited version of this reaction on my Patreon. 2 weeks in advance, the edited version 1 week in advance, and thank you so much for watching.